Not one word.
Damn!
So, as you can see, I lost a bet. And, well, now I gotta wear this and do a profile on Dracotail Dragonmaids. So, without further ado, let's get into it so I can take this off. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into the profile. Now, alright, first of all, you're running 3 Dracotail Lucius. Now, this guy, depending on the engine you run, you probably don't even have to run him in your deck. If you're playing pure Dracotail, yes, you do. But if you're playing something like Dragonmaid Dracotail in this instance, or Shaddolls Dracotail, or branded Dracotail, you could probably get away with running just either one or none of them. But that's my personal opinion. And if you don't know what he does, on normal or special summon, he searches for a Dracotail monster, and whenever he uses fusion material, he sets a Dracotail spell trap from the deck. You're going to be seeing that effect a lot with the Dracotails. Every Dracotail has it. So from this point forward, I'm just going to go over if they have any other special effects with that central effect if I need to. Next up, this, in my opinion, is the heart and soul of the deck. 3 Dracotail Phimina. She is crazy. So, if you don't know what she does, during the main phase, she is a quick effect to discard from hand. And when you do that, you can either fusion summon a spellcaster or a dragon monster from your graveyard using monsters from your hand or field as materials. Also, if she herself is used as fusion material, you can set a Dracotail spell trap from your deck. And that means any dragon or spellcaster monsters. So stuff like Mysterion the Dragon Crown, or Secretarion Dragon, or Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. You're going to be seeing a lot of good dragon and spellcaster fusions in this deck if you're running it. Next up, 3 Dracotail Malulus. This card is pretty cool. I hate that he kind of eats your normal summon. You can special him in certain aspects of the deck if you really want to. He's probably going to be your go-to guy whenever you activate spheres or something like that. Because during the main phase, as a quick effect, he lets you fusion summon using monsters from your hand or field. And then if he's used this fusion material, he sets a Dracotail spell trap from the deck. But he actually has another interesting effect on top of that. If you do that, he actually targets a monster your opponent controls and negates its effects for the rest of the turn whenever he does that. So pretty decent card there, if I do say so myself. So your one-ofs, Dracotail Urgula and Dracotail Pawn. Now, these two are basically going to be your monsters that you have to fuse with either from your hand for some of the Dracotail fusions, or they're going to be your targets for other stuff if it requires like a level 7 or higher dragon or something like that. So Pawn, whenever it's used as fusion material, you can set a Dracotail spell trap from your deck, and then you can destroy one monster on the field. So non-targeting, pretty good. And then if a face-up fusion monster you control is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, while he's in the grave, you can actually place him on the bottom of the deck. And if you do, special summon one non-fusion Dracotail monster from your grave. So he actually recycles Dracotails whenever your Dracotail fusions die. So pretty good there. Urgula kind of does the same thing, except for when he's used as fusion material, he actually destroys spells and traps. So pretty nice there. And then on top of that, if he's in the grave, you can target a spellcaster or Dracotail monster in your grave. Place this card on the bottom of the deck, and if you do, add that monster to your hand, so he actually recycles your Phimina for you. And then that's going to be your entire Dracotail main deck monster engine. Now we're going to go into the Dragonmaids. So first of all, Triple Chamber. She is probably the best Dragonmaid ever printed. She searches a Dragonmaid spell or trap, and then at the end of the battle phase, or at the start of battle phase, you can bounce or special summon a level 7 or higher dragon monster from your hand or graveyard. So next up, Triple Kitchen Dragonmaid. She is basically Chamber, except for she is a monster get. She gets a Dragonmaid monster, and then you send a Dragonmaid card to the graveyard from your hand. So unfortunately, you do have to pitch whatever you search with her, or if you have another card in your hand, you can pitch that instead. But it has to be a monster, and overall, not the best fit there, but with that effect actually comes a way to get out the new fusion, which we will go into later. So she's actually a pretty good as a 3-of. If it wasn't for the new fusion, she'd probably still be a 2-of or maybe even a none-of. So it all depends. Next up, your 1-ofs, one Parlor. She's basically Kitchen, except for she dumps from the deck instead of adding a monster or a spell trap. Also, at the beginning of battle phase, they bounce themselves and special summon a certain level dragon from your hand or graveyard, usually level 5 or higher. And then next up, your two big ones, Sermba and Tinkhek. Now, Tinkhek's good because you're running it for the kitchen effect, to add it to your hand and then send a graveyard in order to contact fuse into the new fusion. Sermba is good because she special summons back out a Dragonmaid from your grave by discarding, as well as the fact that you can special her off Chamber's effects. Also, Tinkhek, she can buff a Dragonmaid by 2,000 attack, so she can actually help you get over those Lunalight matchups, so pretty decent there. Next up, your fusion targets. So basically 2 Shaddolls, Shaddol Dragon, Shaddol Beast. 1 King of the Swamp is basically there for your Dragoon play, as well as if you're kind of hurting for fusions, you can actually dump him to go grab a Poly. And then the Shaddolls are there because you are running Shaddol fusions and you are running Shaddol fusion monsters as well, since Windows is a spellcaster, and like we established, Phymena lets you summon any spellcaster or any dragon. Deck is ridiculous. Next up, your hand traps, Valor. I was actually told about this card earlier. I didn't think of this card, but then someone told me that Valor's a spellcaster. Oh, yeah, it is. So, very, very nice card. Can help you definitely go into Secretarian Dragon or Arthalion, sorry. And if you go into Arthalion with it, you can actually grab it back from the grave with Arthalion's effect, so pretty good there. Triple Ash Blossom, no real need to go to that. And then triple Mulcharmy Fuwalos. These are all the hand traps you're going to be running. You could run more if you wanted. You could run Nibiru, since it can add back off Arthalion as well if you want to run a 60 card variant. I'm actually running a 50 card variant. So Mulcharmy Fuwalos, pretty good right now, I'd say. So yeah, people don't want to give you too many draws off Fuwalos. Next up, we're going to go into your spells. 3 Ketu Dracotail and 3 Rahu Dracotail. Now, if you don't know what these cards do, Ketu Dracotail says it's your monster searcher. You search for any Dracotail monster from your deck. And then if your opponent controls a monster, you can it's actually a polymerization as well. You can fuse from your field or hand. So pretty nice there. Here's the thing about Rahu Dracotail. This card right here is a branded fusion. Pretty crazy. So if you don't know what it does, you can fusion summon a Dracotail monster using cards from your hand, field, or deck to go into any Dracotail monster. The issue with that is that while it may be a branded fusion, all the Dracotail fusions require a monster from your hand. So it giveth and it taketh. So you can definitely use a monster from your deck, but you also have to use a monster from your hand. So next up, your Dragonmaid spells. 1, Dragonmaid Changeover. This is basically your polymerization, but you can also bounce a Dragonmaid to get it back from your graveyard. So pretty nice there. 2, Dragonmaid Hospitality. I'm thinking about cutting this card down to 1. So if you don't know what this card does, you can actually special summon a Dragonmaid from your hand or graveyard without targeting, and if you do, send another Dragonmaid monster from your deck to the graveyard whose attribute is the same but level is different. So it dumps the big ones. It basically guarantees you the new contact fusion, which is really nice, but it's very specific, and also it's not very interactive spell. It's not a quick play, it's not something like that, so it definitely doesn't have that going for it, sadly. Next up, your one-of spells. 1 Shaddol Fusion, because you are playing Shaddolls, might as well run it. 1 Polymerization. It's actually searchable off King of the Swamp, and it's pretty nice. And then, of course, it's not a DocJinzo deck without running 1 Reasoning, because everything in this deck is pretty much a different level. And also, if you dump stuff like Dragonmaid Changeover or Dragonmaid Tidying, it actually helps you. Now we're going to run into traps, and you're actually running a good bit of traps in a format like this. Except, again, it's a 50-card build, so you don't have to run all these traps. So first, your Dracotail traps. 1 Dracotail Horn, 1 Dracotail Flame. Dracotail Horn targets an attack position monster on the field, returns it to the hand, and then you can bottom deck a Dracotail monster from your grave and draw a card. Dracotail Flame negates a spell on the field, negates its effects, and then does the same thing. You can bottom deck a Dracotail from your grave, draw a card. So pretty good cards there, especially the fact that you can set them off the Dracotail effects, so just extra interruption. Now your Dragonmaid trap, you're running 1 Tidying. It bounces, but also it specials from the graveyard, so it's definitely really good for the grind game. Dragonmaids are actually surprisingly good for the grind game. And then finally, triple Imperm. I see a lot of people cutting this from their build, which is why it's so good right now, because no one really expects this card. And I've hit a lot of people with this card, and they just don't seem to think that anyone's going to be playing it. The card is still nuts, it's still great, and it's really hard for people to respond to or react to, especially when they got something on the board that, you know, you might ash one effect, but they get the other effect. Imperf says you get no effects. So next up, we're going to go into the extra deck. Triple Dracotail Arthalia. So if you don't know what this guy does, he requires one Dracotail monster and one monster in the hand. So any monster in your hand. And whenever he's fusion summoned, you can actually get back you can actually bounce monsters on the field or in the graveyards back to their owner's hands equal to the number of materials used in his summon, because he doesn't require just 2 monsters. You can use a lot more monsters in your hand. And then also, whenever 2 monsters are sent to the graveyard simultaneously, he can special himself out back from the graveyard, but then banishes himself when he leaves the field. So you can actually use him as link material later on for spheres or something like that. He's definitely a 3-up because he gets a lot of stuff back, so you can continue your plays, because this deck is very heavy on using stuff in the hand. So being able to recycle that stuff is pretty nice. Next up, 1 Dracotail Gulamel. This guy doesn't get stuff back from the grave, unfortunately, but whenever you activate a Dracotail monster's effect, which you will be doing whenever you fuse into him, because their effects are set from the deck, you can actually destroy any card on the field. Pretty nice there. And then also he has the same effect to special himself when 2 monsters are sent to the graveyard simultaneously. Next up, your Dragonmaids. 2 ladies Dragonmaid. This is the contact fuse I kept going on and on and on about. This card is crazy. So you can either fusion summon her. She requires 2 Dragonmaids with different attributes, but the same level. So you can either fusion summon her the normal way, or you can banish her materials from your field or graveyard, 1 minimum from each. So you normal summon Kitchen, you dump the high level fire, and then you banish both and go, that's your free lady right there. Also during the standby, whenever she's summoned, she can special summon any Dragonmaid from the deck. So already bonkers there. But then on top of that, during the standby phase, you can actually shuffle back banished materials or materials from the field, I believe. So by using materials from your field or banishment and shuffling them back into your deck, you can actually go into any dragon fusion monster from your extra deck. And there is one restriction on the Dragonmaid she can summon. She can only summon a level 4 lower, but honestly, that's probably what you're going to be summoning anyways. You're probably going to be going into Chamber. Speaking of Chamber, she actually came out in the same set as Dragonmaid Yugioh here. Dragonmaid Yugioh requires a Dragonmaid monster and a level 5 or higher dragon monster. So pretty good materials there for this kind of deck. And then also, she's an Omni Negate. You basically negates anything, bounce her back, and then special summon a house from your extra deck. She also has an extra effect during the standby phase. You can special summon a level 9 or lower Dragonmaid monster from your hand or graveyard. And then, House Dragonmaid. What she does is, whenever a Dragonmaid monster is returned back to the hand, you can target a monster your opponent controls and destroy it. And then also during the standby phase, you can target a Dragonmaid monster you control, special summon 1 Dragonmaid from your hand or graveyard whose level is 1 higher or lower than. So now on to your kind of generic spellcaster dragon fusions that really make the deck pretty good. So first of all, Mysterion the Dragon Crown. This guy's really good this format just because of stuff like Canine, like Izuna and Lupus. So if you don't know what he does, basically, whenever a monster activates its effect to special summon itself, you can banish it and banish everything on the board that shares a type with it. Also, he loses 100 attack for each of your banished cards, but you don't really care about that because you're not really banishing a lot in this deck. Next up, Secretarion Dragon. This card is crazy. So if you summon this against Blue Eyes, you basically just win. If you don't know what Secretarion does, he loses 100 attack and defense for each of your banished cards, so kind of the same as Mysterion there. While you control this fusion summon card, your opponent cannot activate special summon spellcasters or dragon monsters effects, period, while it's on the board. That is crazy. And then finally, this is the piece de resistance of this monster. You can target 1 spellcaster and 1 dragon in your graveyard. You can special summon 1, and if you do, bottom deck the other. That effect right there is just ridiculous. That lets you go more and more into your grind game, and yeah, it's just fantastic. And then 1 Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. Don't really need to explain why you're running this card, especially because you're running King of the Swamp. The card's just crazy. And then finally, for your spellcasters, you're running El Shaddol Winda, because she is a spellcaster, and you can go into her off Fimina, and she is just ridiculous, which is why you're running some Shaddolls as well. Can't be destroyed by card effects. Your opponent can only special summon once. What's not to love about Winda? And since you're also running Shaddolls, why not run a Construct as well? Construct's still a great card. I still love Construct, and she opens up so many possibilities for the deck. And then that's all the fusions you're running, actually. And then, because finally, you're running 2 Hieratic Seal the Heavenly Spheres. This card, if you don't know what it does, you can quick effect, tribute it, bounce a face-up card on the board, so pretty nice there. And then also, when it's tributed, instead of the grave, you can special summon any dragon from your deck, but make its attack and defense 0, but doesn't negate its effects. So you can actually go into Chamber and get a spell search. You can go into Malulu and be able to quick effect fuse on your opponent's turn. So pretty good card there overall for the deck. And yeah, that was Dragonmaids, and I cannot wait to take this off. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you want more deck profiles like this. This is DocJinzo signing off. Y'all have a good one.